Hello everybody, I'm Catriona Morten, I'm a sensory-motor psychotherapist. Today what I'd like to talk to you about is how to recognise if you have an ambivalent attachment style. But before I jump into that, if you're enjoying these videos, can you give us a like, subscribe to our channel, because it really helps us get our message out there to loads more of you. The reason I'm talking about an ambivalent attachment style today is because that's the one that I see most showing up in my practice. I do get people with a disorganised attachment style, but the ones that I'm seeing on a day-to-day basis, I can pretty much put most of them into that category. And the reason for that is it has such a detrimental effect on us. It can really impact the way that we are with ourselves and the way that we interact with other people, friendships, relationships. It can be very disturbing in those areas of our life and very confusing. The attachment wounds, they show up in behaviour first, and then our head goes, what are we doing? How did that happen? What's going on here? Or even in the moment of, oh my God, what am I doing? What am I doing? I have no idea. I know I shouldn't be doing this, but it's very behaviour driven. And the reason that I think I see so many people with an ambivalent attachment style is because it's been so painful. And it happens when we have a rupture, especially if things have been going along really well, you know, happy families and with all their little foibles and funny ways, but everything is okay. It's stable, it's consistent, it's predictable. We, understand what's going on, we know the rules of things, there's trust. And then suddenly something happens and changes that. And that can be a number of things. It can be that either there's a separation, there's a divorce, there's a bereavement, there can just be a big life-changing event that means that things are not the same. Now, especially if it's come from nowhere, it's come out of the blue, we haven't seen it happening. We've gone from feeling really safe and secure and happy and content to literally feeling like we've fallen off a cliff and nothing looks the same, nothing feels the same. That has a huge impact on us, because we've known secure and happy and consistent, and now it's not like that. Now that kind of rupture, it can kind of go one of two ways for people. It can either look like people they want this closeness, they want this consistency and this security, and they'll pretty much do anything to try and get it and to hold on to it and to maintain it. They can be kind of a little bit like heat-seeking missiles for it, and oblivious to all the red flags that are going on, oblivious to what people are telling them, oblivious to even what their own head might be telling them, because they'll do anything to seek this, because they miss it so badly and they want that thing back. For other people, they kind of go to the other end and say, I am never going to be hurt like that again. It was so painful, and I'm never going to trust things that seem really good, and I'm never going to kind of throw myself in wholeheartedly into this thing, because if it goes wrong, my belief system is that it probably will, then I'm not going to risk getting hurt anymore. Now, these two places that we kind of gravitate towards, this isn't a conscious decision. This isn't something that we just decide in our head we're going to do. It's very much driven from a behaviour point of view, and attachment is really hardwired into our survival system. So it's a very driven thing. We're really driven into these places. It feels really kind of life and death sometimes. It feels all-consuming because we have to form this attachment when we're little and bond with someone. and have that kind of familiarity in the way that we communicate our needs and our emotions and the way that those things are met. Those things play out in these relationships, and we're really compelled by these things. People in these two camps, they often get very unhelpful labels put on them. They're people who are desperately seeking this security. They can be called love addicts, they can be called attention seeking, they can be called all number of things, when all they're actually trying to do is get to a safe place, maintain that attachment, get back to what felt safe. And they can manipulate things around them, but often they'll be unaware that they're really doing it, or even if they're aware that they are, they're not really sure why. It's not fully conscious. And the same with the others. They can be given labels as commitment phobes, being self-sabotaging. And while those things might kind of descriptively be true in some way, they don't really explain what's really playing itself out of, why people get so far into a relationship, things seem to be going really well, and they'll just throw a spanner in the works for no reason. Their head will tell them things, this person is X, Y, or Z, and that's why they can't be around them anymore. But often with these things, there's a pattern, there's a repeating pattern that says it's more than what's really happening in the present moment. There's something underlying it. There's something driving it. There's things that are underpinning this. And they're from a very attachment survival place. And so they're going to keep doing the same thing over and over again until we can actually get to the root of what's playing itself out and begin to start observing ourselves and having a different narrative, something that's much more present in the conscious, in the present moment, rather than what's coming from the unconscious. We can also have an ambivalent attachment style if our care has been very, very fragmented and very unpredictable. If the parents have their own mental health issues or drug or alcohol issues, or just an awful lot impacting in them, that they can't be consistent. And so they'll give very inconsistent messages to the children who don't know which one they're going to get from one moment to the next. And that can lead us into gravitating into one of these two camps. And there's no kind of rule of thumb as to which one, we would go into more than another. It just happens. And when we can understand, when we know that we suspect that there's attachment wounds playing out, it's really good to understand what that's about. What view of the world, what sense of things did that child make looking out, having those experiences? The children always think it's them. It's something to do with them. And so they carry these wounds internally. They internalise them and have all kinds of belief systems about themselves. But they're not always conscious. We can believe something without it being like in black and white. We just feel it. It feels really, really real and really relevant in this moment. We can look at it intelligently and say, it's not actually like that, but it feels like it is. When we can begin to understand what little parts are playing out, what belief systems, what fears, what is it that these parts of us fear or dread? What is it that we're scared of getting close to? And, knowing that we may well get other wounds that come in the way legitimately, but it's not good to have these things because these are very kind of young parts, young behaviours, always playing themselves out, because it doesn't really help us in the adult sense. So when we can really understand how those things formed, what lies underneath it, what is it that we're trying to protect ourselves from or avoid, then it can really help us when these urges come up to take us into one way or another. It's like, does this feel familiar? Have I been down this path before? What is really playing itself out here? And when you can look at it through that lens, it can really help give a lot better perspective on what's really going on in this moment. Because in this one, those parts of us will look for reasons to get out, look for a reason why things aren't right. Even although everybody around them is saying, no, it's absolutely not like that. They're finding it because, one, they have to prove their belief system right because they believe it, but also it's that protective behavioural part of our attachment style playing itself out and taking us down paths that actually, as an adult, we don't want to be. It's like, I don't know why I ended that relationship. I don't know why I threw a massive spanner in the works of it, because now I look back on it, it was okay. Or, I don't know why I didn't see all the red flags that were here on this, and I just blindly went into it and only saw what I wanted to see and only believed what I wanted to believe, and cognitive dissonance ignores everything else that's going on around. When we can learn to observe ourselves, and we can do that in really simple ways, like, learning to just notice the way that you're breathing in the moment, not telling it, it should be, different, deeper, shallower, but actually tuning into it and saying, this is me observing the way I'm breathing right in this moment. When we can learn to do that more, it becomes almost second nature, and it can be much easier to see and observe, what is it I'm doing? Could it be my attachment pattern playing itself out, just obscuring things or hiding things? When we can learn to do that, then we have much more perspective of what's really going on, and have a sense of control over what's driving us and what we actually want, and to take us forward in a very conscious, adult, free-thinking way, not always to be pulled underneath by these attachment wounds that we have. Everything can be healed, and everything can be kind of changed and looked at and worked on. It doesn't have to stay this way. So I really hope that helps you make sense of some of these things that are playing out, these relationships, these ongoing cycles of behaviour and repetitive things that keep happening, that there is a reason, and it's often viewed through the lens of attachment that can make it really understandable and help you work out what's playing itself out. So if you've enjoyed this video, if you found it helpful, useful, enjoyable, then give us a like, subscribe to our channel, and I'll look forward to seeing you again very soon. Okay, bye.